Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Oyindi Fulupera ni Mashapa, Wanayana wa Muvenda. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, a veteran in this channel, welcome back for yet another exciting episode of Risk, Money, and Insurance. And so today we are mainly settling on the insurance part of the channel. I feel like it's been a while, we haven't had conversations around insurance in a while. And so today we are definitely discussing what we call a gap cover, right? And I think I have alluded to this cover when we were talking about, getting insurance for your car and all of that, what you can actually do to reduce your car insurance premiums. And so today I thought I should emphasize on it again, and also just say, gap covers don't only cover, your car, but with things like your medical aid as well. You may find that in as much as we always say, well, as long as I'm covered if I go to the hospital, but there are some procedures or some operations that may not be covered by your medical aid. And such things are so expensive. Like they will be charging you for literally each and every single item or equipment that they'll be using and the time that the doctors will be doing the operation as well. And so if you're someone who go to ICU or whatever and there are some things that are not covered, you also need a gap cover, for your medical aid as well. And funny enough, with all your gap covers, they are sold like separately. So it's more of an add-on benefit rather than part of the insurance product as it is. So let's say, for example, you're buying your car insurance, right? So you would definitely get the normal, comprehensive car insurance, and then they will ask you to get a gap cover as an add-on. And a lot of people normally just say, nah, it's an add-on, I don't want that. But the danger of not having a gap cover for your car is that, let's say, for example, you got your car via, vehicle financing through a bank or whatever, right? And then it so happens, God forbid, that you get involved like in an accident and they write off your car, right? So after writing off your car, your insurance pays out, let's say the market value of your car, they pay that out. And then whatever they're paying out is actually less than what you owe the bank because your car was financed. So, for example, you got a car for 300,000, you got an accident, let's say 2-3 months down the line, and then your car, the value at that point was somewhere around 250,000. So there's that shortfall of 50,000, which your insurance will then pay 250 to the bank, yes, but you are still liable to pay the 50,000 that's outstanding, right? And so what normally happens is, in as much as your car is written off, you still owe the bank the 50,000 regardless of what happened to your car. So this is where if you have a gap cover, then the gap cover will just pay out that 50,000 that you're still owing. But if you don't have a gap cover, then you're in sort of like a tricky situation where now you need to pop out 50,000. And so in as much as you might say, well, I want to get a new car, you're actually getting a new car with a liability of 50,000 that you still have under your name in as much as you don't have that car anymore. So it's quite important to consider, such instances, unless if you have money, that you have enough money to say whatever shortfall, that I will have, I'll be able to pay it out. So if you do have like good investments and good savings, then like you might say, well, I feel like I can insure myself. I don't need an insurer to actually pay this out for me. But what I realize is that because it's an add-on cover, rarely you find instances where people, have that shortfall. So these types of covers are not really that expensive. So in as much as you're adding it onto your car insurance premium, it won't cost you that much, right? So it's up to you to decide. And I was having a chat with a friend who, they got involved in an accident, and then after that their car was written off, and they were just emphasizing on how important it was for them to have a gap cover in place, because otherwise there was a shortfall of close to 100,000 that they had to pay out. And imagine if you're getting a new car, now you have this shortfall, even though you might say, I'll refinance, that 100,000 or whatever, it's going to be a lot of money. So it's just like whatever cost of a new car that you will get, or like a second hand, you still have this other amount, which is close to 100K that you still have to pay out. So it's quite important to consider your options and make sure that, in as much as we say it's comprehensive insurance, things like gap covers are not included in the. So you need to make sure that you understand what you're covered for, and you also know that in instances like this where stuff can happen, things can go south, you know that you are covered. And so on the medical aid side of things, I think one thing that kept like recurring in my mind is the fact that already like medical aid is expensive. And honestly, if I knew like in advance, like when I was still in varsity, I would have just opted to be part of my parents' medical aid even to this age. So like they kick you out when you're in final year because you're no longer a student, and you have to, I remember I had to submit like proof and all of that to show that I'm doing my honors, so I'm still technically dependent on my parents. And then when I started working, I just wish, one thing that I really, really wish is that I should have just continued with my parents' medical aid, because then at least I'll be paying around, at least 1.8, 1.5, which is not bad compared to when you now have your own medical aid and it's over 2.5 a month. Like, it's a lot. And the fact that employers make it compulsory for you to have medical aid, it's something that you can't just say, I'm opting out. And what a lot of people end up doing is they take the list cover, right? So they go normally for what we call a hospital plan, where you say, I don't need all the other benefits, just cover me in case I'm hospitalized. And honestly, you never know. Such things are random. There are some people who take that cover because they think, well, I am that person, I don't get sick often, so I will never need this thing. But then it might just happen that you might have a bad year and you might actually end up in hospital more than 2 or 3 times. And so it's also quite important, in as much as we're trying to save, to realize one thing about our health system in South Africa, like, it's struggling. Imagine if you need to have a major operation on your spine or whatever, and you need to have that done in a public hospital. Chances are there might not be like neurosurgeons or whoever who may be qualified to perform such high level sort of like operations and stuff, because those people are working probably in private hospitals, and such level of care is expensive. So in as much as you're saying, well, I want a hospital cover, the bare minimum benefits that you receive there may not actually be enough to cover you and cover all the expenses relating to just being in hospital. Like, imagine if you were to be in ICU for like 30 days. At some point, you will definitely exhaust your medical aid benefits, right? So a gap cover is also important, because those medical bills, they can just skyrocket within a day, depending on what type of care you require. So it's also important to have a gap cover, right, on top of your medical aid. And I know it's also like medical aid is already expensive. Why are we adding more stuff to it? But I feel like it's important to not take shortcuts when it comes to your health, because that gap cover can save you from literally drowning in debt. Like, medical bills overall can be really, really expensive. So it's also just that option to say, well, if my medical aid doesn't cover the full cost, at least I know that I am covered in that type of situation. So it's something to just keep in mind, because sometimes we're comfortable, we think we are covered all round, whereas there are limits when it comes to these things. At some point, there is a limit, and as an individual, you need to make sure that you are covered. And so you can inquire with your medical aid already. I know with my medical aid, they do advertise gap covers and all of that. So you can inquire with your medical aid if you do not have a gap cover already in place, or you can ask if you're not sure if you do have one in place, to just be sure, right? And to be in that space where like you are taking a risk that you are aware of, or you're not taking or you literally saying, well, I'm not going to take the risk, I'm going to get my gap cover overall. But so just also as a disclaimer, of course, contents of this video do not constitute as financial advice. So before making any decision, you need to talk to a registered financial advisor to just get an opinion right around you, your circumstances, and how things might work out for you. And so if you do have a gap cover, or if you were saved by a gap cover, leave a comment right in the comment section below, and I would just like to hear from you. Did you know about a gap cover? Do you have it in place, or you're thinking of getting one, or you're not thinking of getting one, and also why? So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.